everyone, and welcome back to my channel. The most frequent complaint I hear from people I know about yoga is that they have no time to go to yoga class. They have no time for yoga. So I decided to design a routine that is easy, simple, and very quick, and that anybody can do, even those of you who've never practiced yoga before. So let's get started. So let's start with interlocking the fingers together and stretching the arms up. So what you need to do is you need to focus on really lifting the palms up to the ceiling and lengthening both sides of the body. And continue to breathe, don't hold your breath. Make sure your feet are planted firmly into the floor. And then from here, keeping that extension, go to the right side. So you want to bend laterally. Make sure you're not coming forward like this. You want to make sure that you're stretching the left side of your body. Keep your elbows tight and straight, basically lengthening the side of the body. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. Come back up, once again lift up and go down to the other side, which is the left side for me. So this is a great way to wake up your body, wake up the spine. And once again, come up. And take your hands down and shake your hands out. So now you should feel a lengthening in the spine, and you should feel that your spine is a little bit more awake and a little more supple. So now what you want to do is you want to take your feet apart. We're going to start with the Uttanasana. So take your feet apart, make sure the outer edges of your feet are parallel, and then you want to bend down as much as you can. I can come all the way down to the floor, but if you're unable to go all the way down, go ahead and bend your knees and then place your fingertips on the floor. That's also fine. And just hang here, trying to lengthen the back of the legs as much as possible. Make sure you're not curving the spine, keep the back straight, and just hang here. Breathe, don't hold your breath. 3, really lengthen, come down as much as you can. 2, and 1. Good. And from here, walk your hands forward, kind of like to the front of the mat. And take your legs back and come into the pose that we call downward dog. So you're going to lengthen the back and straighten the legs. And just try your best. You don't have to have your downward dog exactly like I'm doing it. You could maybe, if you want to bend your knees, that's also fine, but you have to keep your back straight. Try and push your hands into the floor and lengthen the back. And then in the end, really try to push the thighs back. And hold this and breathe. Never hold your breath. Breathe deeply. Allow the tailbone to extend up. And now from here, come into what we call the Bhujangasana. So place your knees on the floor and lift the chest up. Make sure you relax your lower body in this one. If you feel a pain on the lower back, you want to make sure to relax even more. Relax the lower body even more and push your hands firmly on the floor. And try and expand the chest. You'll feel a stretch on your abdomen and hold this. And now once again we're going to go into the downward dog. So place your toes on the floor and come back into your downward dog. This is also called the Adho Mukha Svanasana. And what we're trying to do is basically lengthen the spine. You're trying to wake up the upper body, wake up your rib cage, get the blood really circulating. And now from here, bring one leg forward, the right leg forward, place the left leg on the floor, and then come into your Trikonasana. So what you're going to do is you're going to place your hand on this leg and take the other hand up and hold this. So make sure that you're not curving your spine. Keep the stretch gentle, but make sure that it's effective also. You should feel a stretch. Now bring the hand down and go back into your downward dog. And this time you're going to bring your left leg forward. And then place the right leg on the floor and take the left hand on the left leg, and take the right hand up. And again, make sure you're not curving the spine. You want to keep the spine straight. And you can choose to look up, or you can look down also if it's difficult to balance. And hold this. Again, never hold your breath. Keep on breathing. Good. And from here, let's go back into the downward dog. The downward dog is a great pose to keep the blood circulating. It's almost like, it is an inversion in fact. Good. And from here, bring the right leg forward and let's go into the warrior pose. So you're going to bring the right leg forward. Again, place the left foot on the floor just like we did in the Trikonasana, in the triangle pose. And you're going to come up and sink your hips down. Make sure the thigh is parallel to the floor. And hold this. Feel the stretch on your hip joint. Good. And come down. And once again, downward dog. And this time, you're going to bring the left leg forward. And place the back foot on the floor. And come up into your warrior. So sink as far down as you can, opening up the hip joint. And come back down. And once again, go into your downward dog. And then from the downward dog, slowly walk your hands back. And come to a standing position. And let's do the side angle pose. So again, take your legs apart. And this is going from the warrior pose, and you're just going to place your hands on the floor. So just follow me, follow along. You're going to place the right leg on the floor, hands up, hands out to the sides, sink down just like you did in the previous asana. And then you're going to take the right hand down and take the left hand up above your head. And you can keep your gaze either straight ahead or look at the fingertips. And hold this and really try and sink down. Do your best. That's all we need to get your body kind of moving and stretched out. And then come back up. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to move the right leg forward or in and left leg out, hands up, hands out to the sides, and then bend the left leg and eventually bring the left hand on the floor, right hand up, and gaze at the fingertips. And once again, come up, hands down, and bring your legs back together. And now let's go ahead and take the Uttanasana stance again. So the Uttanasana was the first pose that we did. So take your feet apart and bend forward from your waist. So you're just bending forward as best as you can, placing the fingertips on the floor. And if you want to bend your knees, that's also fine, but you must try to straighten the legs. And then from here, sink down as much as you can into what we call the Malasana. And we're just going to do this a couple of times just to get the knees and the legs warmed up. So go ahead and stand up. And then sink down again. The knees and the ankles are crucial joints in your body, and every day you must warm them up. So once again, stand up. And the best way to warm them up and keep them in optimum shape, come down, is to do movements like this, standing and sitting, and sink down as much as you can. One last time, go ahead and stand up and sink down. And now while in the Malasana, let's try and walk the hands forward, place the right hand on the floor and take the left hand up. So this is almost like a little twist, but it requires you to balance and it requires your haunches to be very strong. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So you're going to place your left hand on the floor and right hand up. This really lengthens the sides also, and it actually stretches the lower back. So if you have lower back pain, this is what you need to do. And bring the hands down. And now let's start with the seated postures. So from here, let's take the right leg forward and left leg back. This is called the Ashwashanchalanasana. So basically what I want you to do is try and place your hands on the floor, keep the back knee tight, really extend the back leg back, and try and get your thighs as close to the floor as possible. You should feel a stretch on your groin. Try and get the groin as close to the floor as possible and hold this. And you can even rock from side to side because this intensifies the stretch. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take the right leg back and left leg forward, and again tighten the back knee, hands on the floor, and and really sink the hips down. Keep the knee up but hips down. That's what helps you in really stretching effectively. Good. Now let's come back to the first leg. So the right leg forward. Now back knee on the floor, and you're going to keep the back toes on the floor also. Don't do this, keep the back toes on the floor. And then you're going to sink down. Place the hands on the knee, and again really try and sink as far down as you can. So you're trying to get the right hip as close to the floor as possible. And hold this. You might even want to push yourself back. So instead of coming forward, you're pushing yourself back. And now the same thing on the other side. So take the right leg back, left leg forward, and really stretch the leg back. The back knee should be really far away from this. This should not be straight. Like a lot of people end up doing this. We don't want a right angle. We want you to take your knee back so that you can stretch the psoas muscle as well. And then place the hands on the knee and stretch your upper body back. So you're pushing your body back and at the same time pushing your groin down. And hold this and breathe. Never hold your breath. Good. And then let's come back to the first leg, right leg, and again place the back knee on the floor. And this time we're just going to go into the pigeon pose, the kapotasana. So you're going to take the right leg, walk it to the side, and try and place the thighs on the floor. You can do any kind. If you're unable to come all the way down, it's okay to be here also. All we're trying to do is to stretch the hip joint. So just focus on the stretch. You can keep this as gentle or as intense as you want. If you're doing this routine early in the morning, keep your stretches really gentle. If you're doing it late at night or in the evening after work, then you want to stretch yourself a little more. You want to make it more intense because your body is more open. Okay, now let's switch legs. So right leg back and left leg forward, back knee on the floor, walk the leg forward, and then again try and keep the back straight. And the pigeon pose is really great because not only does it keep your hips supple and stretched, but it also helps in releasing a lot of the stress that is stored in the hips and in the lower body. Good. And from here, if you can, go ahead and come into your Upavishta Konasana. So basically, try and spread your legs as much as you can. And place your hands on the floor in front of you and come forward, as far forward as you can. Now, if you want, you can touch the forehead on the floor or the chin on the floor. But if you're able to do that, just walking forward is also good enough. And hold this. And make sure that the toes are pointing straight up, heels are pushed out. That's the most effective stretch. And then walk back. Place your right hand behind your right leg. With the left hand, reach out. And if you cannot reach all the way out, you can hold anywhere on the leg and just pull yourself closer to this leg. And let's do the same thing on the other side. So as you can see, from the standing asanas, like from the hip joint and from the thighs, from the legs, we moved on to stretching the side of the body. So if you do this routine every day, you're basically stretching every single part of your body. And we worked on the joints also. We worked on your knees and on your ankles as well. And come up. And finally, we come to my most favorite part of any yoga routine, and that is basically traction. So for this, if you have a small pillow or a book or even a yoga block, go ahead and place that on your mat. You're going to rest your head on that. You could also get these yoga belts. If you don't have a belt, you could use a dupatta or a scarf or a stole. And what you want to do is you want to lie down and then keep your knees bent. It's very important to do this step by step. Keep your knees bent and then take the right leg straight up. And keep the leg 90 degrees to the floor. So I'm not interested in doing this. I'm interested in trying to get the leg as as perpendicular to the floor as possible, because when it's perpendicular to the floor, then the lower back is at rest and it's stretched out. So this is really good for backaches. This is good for people who have tight hamstrings. And although it might look easy to you to keep it up perpendicular, but a lot of people are really unable to bring this leg to 90 degrees. So that's what we're going to work on today. And then we're going to do the same thing on the left side. And push the heel up. So I'm not pushing my toes up, I'm focusing on stretching the back of the leg. And that's how the hamstrings are going to get any kind of stretch. And that is how the knees will also stay supple, because the back of the knees will also get stretched with this. Now I'm going to move back to the right side. And this time, I'm going to hold the right leg very secure at the location that it is, at the place where it is, and then I'm going to slowly walk the right leg out. So you can see that I'm not lifting it up and pushing it out, launching it out, propelling it out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly slide it out. My heel is never lifting off of the mat. It's gently just kind of sliding out. And now my legs are at a 90-degree angle. And this is what you want to hold. So you continuously push both knees out. When I push my right knee out, the leg becomes straighter. When I push my left knee out, my leg goes further down into the floor, securely into the floor. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take my left leg up, right leg down. Again, focus on stretching and lengthening the back of the left leg, and then slowly I'm going to walk the right leg out until both my legs are at a 90-degree angle. And most of you will see some kind of imbalance in both legs. One leg will be able to go out a lot more than the other. One leg might be more straight than the other. What you need to do is focus and be conscious of these imbalances and these irregularities. And with the regular practice of yoga, you are going to be able to get your body balanced. Now, both legs up. Good. And if you do have back problems, or if you wake up in the morning with a sore back, you will already see a change, a sense of relief with this particular move. Okay, and finally, we're going to do the firelock pose, and that's also great to stretch the back out, especially the lower back. So what you want to do is, you want to place one ankle over the knee, and the same thing on the other side. Keep the back straight, walk your hands forward, and then allow your head to just drop down. My forehead touches the floor. If yours doesn't, that's fine. You still keep on reaching forward, and then allow the forehead to drop down. And focus on the stretch. There's going to be a stretch on your lower body, maybe on the back also. Then walk back, and let's switch legs. Usually this is a great stretch for the glutes, but for those of you who do have backaches, you feel a stretch there as well. Okay, hands on the floor, and again walk forward and place the forehead on the floor. And then walk back. And this is one asana that I tell all my students, particularly my private students who are sitting all day, and you know, their back is always compressing throughout the day. So I tell everybody, this pose, the firelock pose, is one that you must do every day. You can do it right before you go to sleep. It is that simple and that easy, and it doesn't require any kind of warm-up. So this is the little routine that I had for you today. So do practice it. It's very simple, it's not very long, it works out every single part of your body. Anybody can do it, and if you do it even for 7 days, 14 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, you will really see a difference in how your body feels for the rest of the day. Do it first thing in the morning, and yeah, see how different your body feels. So let me know what you think about this, and let me know if you practice this, and I hope it really helps you. Thank you.